welcome to the WIHS Journal. On the broadcast today, we'll learn about Homes for the Brave in Bridgeport, Connecticut. They are homes for the veterans. On the broadcast with me today is the executive director, is the CEO, Vincent Santilli. We'll learn all about the new renovations that are taking place, the new home for women and their children, and what it offers for the veterans. Stay tuned for all the details. So Vince, tell us, what you do there, and then we'll talk about these wonderful events for the veterans.
Well, Homes for the Brave, we are in our 21st year of serving our veterans, and we have men and women in our programs that have served our country, and now they've encountered a little bit of a struggle and a little brush with homelessness. And we have a clinical program, we have a vocational program, we have a walk-in, drop-in veteran service center, and we do everything in our power to get our men and women back in the game where they can become permanently housed.
What does your organization do? How are you in contact with the veterans?
Well, we are a grant and per diem program of the Veterans Administration. So if a veteran indicates to the VA via their homeless outreach, their hot team, that they are, about to or are struggling with homelessness, then they will often assign them to us. At the same time, sometimes we will have to our headquarters here in Bridgeport a veteran that will, show up and just has nowhere to go. And these are situations and scenarios that repeat themselves again and again. We have veterans in their 20s, we have veterans in their 80s, and we have everything in between.
Tell me some of the groundbreaking stuff that you have done for the veterans in the past year.
In just 2022, we had 3 facilities here in Bridgeport, all of which were residential. And 22 was quite a year for us because we had the opportunity to open 2 houses in West Haven, Connecticut for male veterans experiencing homelessness. And at the same time, we opened up a non-residential annex about 3 minutes away from our headquarters here in downtown Bridgeport, Connecticut. And that marks the expansion of our clinical program and our vocational program. So we will have and we have a clinical psychologist on site there. We have an emergency food pantry. And so we have seen different things there we had ever seen before. And this is, by the way, for both veterans and their family members. So we sometimes end up working with the spouses or children of veterans there in that facility. And that's been, again, something new direction for us. And really, in 2022, it marked the opportunity for us to serve more veterans in more places, as well as their family members also.
That's awesome. I love to hear stuff like that. So if a veteran is listening or they have a family member, sometimes, you hear sometimes have been forgotten. What can you say to that veteran or family member of a veteran?
Absolutely. And the other thing in this I should mention is that one of our facilities here in Bridgeport is the first and only one in the state of Connecticut exclusively for women veterans and their young children. So we have 14 beds there. 10 are for the veterans themselves and up to 4 for overflow and or children. And we don't always have children, but we have had a stretch where we had, 3 children in the house at the same time. And so that's just a beautiful facility. And we have had women come to us in the dead of winter living in a vehicle with a small child, which is just horrific. And they've been able to then get on their feet there in a residence that has hardwood floors, stainless steel appliances, granite countertops in the restrooms, and just a beautiful place for these women to really get back on their feet.
Well, if you're tuning in right now to this broadcast, I am speaking to Vince Santilli. He is with Homes for the Brave. So tell us, why do you think is such a big homelessness for veterans? Why do they end up homeless? Do you know the statistics why?
I think it's so many reasons, and certainly I think every case is different. And many of our veterans, both men and women, had experiences in the service that really took them into a different place, often mentally. In many cases, alcohol and or substance abuse has been a factor, and that then has caused individuals to lose their employment opportunities, to be evicted from their residences. Their family situation was then, upheaved, if you will. And as a result, they find themselves without a place to, hang their hat at night. And that's, I guess, where we come into the picture.
I see here on Friday, June 9th, you had a groundbreaking ceremony. Can you explain more about that?
Our facility is 116 years old, our headquarters. It was, the cornerstone says 1907. It is a very sturdy structure, but at the same point in time, it is lacking an elevator, and the veterans that we're seeing here, and this is for males, and the veterans that we're seeing are becoming older and older, and, navigating the stairs is quite difficult. We have a basement and 3 floors. Much of our programming is in the basement. So this gave us the opportunity to obviously put an elevator in the building, and at the same time, we have 42 beds in this facility. 5 are DMHS, Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services beds. The other 37 are all allocated to and for veterans, and yet there are no private rooms. All of our rooms are doubles, triples, and quads with the restrooms on the end of the hall. And so, if a veteran is trying to have a telehealth appointment, he could have 1, 2, or 3 residents nearby in the same little room, and so therefore there's no privacy. When it comes time to use the restroom, we have on one of our floors 20 veterans using the same restroom, and so for the purposes of infection control and privacy, we're now having the opportunity to have 12 suites, private rooms with their own restrooms as part of our 42 beds, and then the other 30 are going to be spread out, certainly throughout a great deal more distance.
That's awesome. I love to hear stuff like that. So what about the veterans, that sometimes they come home from war and they are pretty physically disabled? What happens to that situation?
Well, to be honest with you, Nissa, I think that the mental and the psychological aspects of serving sometimes, I think, are even more damaging to our veteran population. And so, this, I think, the experience of getting themselves back on their feet here, it's mentally, it's physically, and it's psychologically. And so the great thing that we're so excited about is we've never had the opportunity to house a veteran who was navigating in a wheelchair because we didn't have an elevator and they couldn't navigate the stairs. So this expansion, this renovation will finally give us the opportunity to do that, to serve our veterans who might be right now working and navigating in a wheelchair.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. I loved hearing about your organization, Homes for the Brave, just making great strides for our veterans here in America. What kind of details would you like to convey to our listeners before we close the broadcast today?
Well, this expansion is a big opportunity for us to, again, serve more veterans and serve them even more comprehensively. If folks want to become part of this, we are selling bricks, we are selling benches, we are selling naming rights to opportunity to different rooms in the house. We ask folks to certainly stand with our veterans and really support this beautiful new Homes for the Brave. You can go on homesforthebrave.org. That's homesforthebrave.org. They can call us at 203-338-0669. And we'd be delighted to speak with them. And then we certainly offer them the opportunity to come visit us, to see, because so many people, I'll speak at Rotary clubs and Kiwanis clubs and so forth, and they'll get, wow, that sounds great, what you do. And I said, you have to really come and visit. And when people do, that's when everything clicks.
Once again on the broadcast with me was the CEO and Executive Director of Homes for the Brave, Vincent Santilli. How they're making new renovations for our veterans and their home in Bridgeport, Connecticut. To find out more details about Homes for the Brave, you can give WIHS a call at 860 888-346-1049. I'm Anissa Porticelli for News and Public Affairs.